Every once in a while, it's fun to have a meal that doesn't have to have meat. Not necessary every day, but once in a while it's kind of creative. And when you do that, to go to another culture, because non-meat meals are more common in many other cultures than they are in the U.S., gives you a lot of ideas. So today what I have is a Moroccan vegetable stew. And I've started part of it here. What I've done is, and this makes a lot, and it will freeze up for you so that if you you can either cut the recipe down or make it this way and then freeze part of it. But I've got a medium eggplant. You can use purple, you can kind of guess how many of the other varieties, the skinny Japanese ones and so on, that you'd need to equal the amount of one medium purple eggplant that you'd find in the supermarket. Then also to this I have 6 small onions that I have peeled and then just quartered. They're going to cook down, and about 4 cloves of garlic that we've minced fairly finely. And I've put that in with 2 tablespoons of olive oil and let them cook for 3 to 4 minutes until things start to get a little bit brown. And then this is where the fun part comes in with the seasonings that are common to other cultures, to Africa and to some of the Eastern European countries. What we have here is a teaspoon of cinnamon, a 3/4 of a teaspoon of cumin powder, a 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground turmeric, which is going to give it a little bit of yellow color. Most of the time we don't use turmeric unless we are making pickles here in Oklahoma. Then also to that I've got a 1/4 of a teaspoon of cloves. So you get the feel that you should be making pumpkin pie in some respects with the cinnamon and the cloves, or maybe oatmeal cookies. But the next ingredient, which is a 1/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne, is definitely going to change your opinion. And then another 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. So these are the seasonings that we're going to use on this. Stir those together and let that cook for another 2 minutes or so. Once you've got your 2 minutes gone by, then we're going to add 2 medium sweet potatoes that you cut in about 3/4 inch dice or so. And then a little bit extra work, I took some tomatoes and seeded those. So we have about 3 cups of seeded tomatoes, 3 cups of zucchini slices, a cup of sliced celery, a medium green pepper that's been sliced, or chopped, excuse me. I'm going to stir these down a little bit and try to let some of them get underneath. Because the other thing I'm going to add to this are some beans, and they've already been cooked, and they're a little bit more delicate. I don't want to stir them too much. Here we have 1½ cups of garbanzo beans, which are a little bit tougher, and so I don't mind stirring them in at this point. I'm going to hold off. We also need to stir in about 1½ cups or 1 can of drained and rinsed kidney beans. And those are a little bit more delicate. I want them to absorb the flavor, but this is going to cook for 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm going to let it cook for about 10 of those minutes before I add them in so that they don't get squished and continue to look more like whole kidney beans later on. You need to put a lid on it and let it simmer for 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, after you've had some time for the sweet potatoes to soften up a little bit, then go ahead and stir in the kidney beans. I also added about ½ cup of reduced sodium, reduced fat chicken stock, homemade, or chicken broth. Homemade is great if you've got it. This also has very little sodium added to it. The actual sodium content of the finished dish is only 4% of what you need for the day, so it's very, very low in that as well. And then after you let that finish so that just until the potatoes are soft enough, you can stir in about 2 tablespoons of parsley, and you'll be ready to go. This is a dish that has flavors that we don't normally expect, doesn't have the added fat that we often get in our meals in the United States and in Oklahoma, has 200% of the vitamin A you need, over 100% of the vitamin C, almost 40% of the fiber that you need for the day, and it has 55% of the folacin. So you really can't get something much more nutritious than this. Some bread and maybe a glass of milk, and you're set. I hope you'll give this one a try. Moroccan stew for Oklahoma gardening. This is Barbara Brown.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge. both classic and contemporary.